What is up, everybody? It's Joe from JLW Games coming at you with another cool video. Today we're doing something a little bit different, and we're going to be doing a two-part series. So there's only going to be 2 episodes of this as of right now. This episode's probably going to be the longest and the most content, I would imagine, because I spent probably a good just under 4 hours in one sitting for this video. So I was originally thinking about just making this one episode, but after nearly 4 hours of just building this ride, I decided to, take a little break and say, okay, I'll put it in at least 2 parts, because there's still a little bit more I can do by the end of this episode, but I get most of the main stuff done in this episode. So what is this exactly? We're just doing a random one project here of a B&M hypercoaster that I was in the mood for building a B&M hypercoaster for some reason. That was nice, custom supported with some nice good details and everything like that within the entire layout. So we're gonna have custom supports, fully custom supports. I custom support the entire ride in this one episode, so that's why the time lapse is gonna be very, very fast here as well, because this is literally, you're seeing about probably just under 4 hours of footage within this 23-ish minute video right now, and I actually made the time lapse a little bit faster than usual because of that. So anyways, I wanted to do a B&M hyper, and I would love to hear in the comments if you guys like this kind of content. Maybe I continue on with this type of stuff. So I also wanted to do the chain lift return as well, and I wanted to make this B&M hyper look really realistic as much as possible. So the lift hill is about 230 feet exactly, and I think the drop is around that as well, so a little bit over 200 feet. So it is a true hyper coaster, don't worry. It is a nice B&M hyper. I used one of the Theme Maker's Toolkit items for the support structures and the connectors. There's actually some nice Theme Maker's Toolkit items for that to give you just a nice, it just has the perfect thickness, I think, for B&Ms when it comes to their support structure. So I like using it a lot for my builds when it comes to B&M coasters. So I use the Theme Maker's Toolkit of those. I mean, you can use the endgame ones too, but the Theme Maker's Toolkit one just has a perfect kind of just that perfect thickness to those support beams. So anyways, I decided to go with this the coaster decided to go with some Halloween kind of colors, orange, purple, and black and everything, and they'd be really cool. And I wanted to be themed to something kind of like a raven type of theme, or crow or raven or something like that. Some sort of bird that flies through the air or something during Halloween and everything like that. So it's not gonna have like a huge theming or anything. It's just it's just basically gonna have like a raven type of theme to it when it comes to the theming aspect. So I wanted to go really big in detail as much as possible into this little series as well, because I'll tell you what, it did test my patience a little bit doing something like this, and it's a good exercise, because I know a lot of you could probably relate to this, but one thing that's hard to do in Planet Coaster when you do big detailed builds is that it's hard to have the patience to continue building in a long setting, because usually I can't go more than like an hour, 2 hours max when it comes to building detailed stuff like this and continuing to work on the same thing the entire time. So in other words, like, all I do is work on the one project. And I'm really bad at that, especially with, like, if I'm building a park or something, I usually have to run around and work on different things at once to kind of get through that if I'm doing a long sitting. But this time I really challenged myself and said I want to try and build this whole thing in one sitting, and I nearly did. And like I said, I probably could have ended it after this episode if I wanted to, but I do want to do a little bit more details. Oops, sorry, I just completely whacked my desk. But I want to do a few more details, fine details, because I'm really proud of how this project actually turned out in the end. So I think it deserves even more details. So I decided to do that. I've decided that I'm going to do part 2 to this video as well. That probably won't be as long, probably won't be as big, but it will have some more fun, more so finishing touches here and there for the rest. So I'll probably sit down for another hour or two finishing up those little minor details. Anyway, so I started to do like a lot. I did do the lift hill supports, and then I was like, I should probably go ahead and finish up this layout. So I made the layout. It also has a mid-course brake run. I wanted to be able to run 3 trains pretty flawlessly, and in the end it actually did work out very, very well, and the trains are spaced out perfectly where I don't even have to do a dispatch interval. I can actually just let it run freely with no issues with the ride stopping on the lift hill or anything like that, so that turned out great. The ride turned out really, really smooth, by the way. I do use the smoothing mod that allows me to smooth very, very quickly, and if you haven't seen my smooth method, it's very, very simple and works very, very well. It's in my opinion, a lot better than using like a 1 meter, 3 meter method. But if you like using the 1 meter, 3 meter method, the smoothing mod is actually really, really nice to have too, because it actually speeds up that process as well. But I use basically I basically do the 1 meter / 3 meter method basically, but I just use whatever sized pieces I want. I just don't use those really small pieces, basically. And I just crank up the banking offset to give me my the heartlining as best as I can, and I smooth it usually no more than 3 times. I go through the track at a maximum of 3 times usually when it comes to the heartlining and everything, because it keeps the heartlining pretty well if you crank it all the way up and do it that way. So the only thing that I didn't really that I may have been able to do, you know, the B&M track, the B&M Hyper / Giga track, which is what this is the Rage is what it's called in game. I wish the spine was a little bit thicker, obviously. I think that's a common complaint when it comes to this model, is that this track spine is just way too thin, especially when it's a Hyper or Giga. I feel like it should have a much thicker spine. And it does for the lift hill, I think, a little bit, but once you go into the regular track, it's just like really thin and does not resemble B&M track as well as it should, and it kind of makes the track look a little bit less authentic. But with the custom supports, it doesn't look as bad, because the custom supports are nice and thick and work very, very well. And again, I completely, in one sitting, did all the custom supports for this ride, and I did it without stopping too, which is actually a really big accomplishment. So I really do challenge you guys that have issues with patience in Planet Coaster, go out there and try and do this in one sitting. I wasn't even listening. I do recommend listening to like music or something, or just some chill music, something that you can vibe with and everything as you go. I wasn't even listening to music during this, by the way, so I'm pretty impressed of what I was able to do in this sitting. Like, I can't believe I actually went through all this, custom supported the whole thing, did the whole layout, and actually did the station, and I did a little bit of terraforming and terra painting and a little bit of scenery. You'll see it later on in the video, but I am very, very proud of myself of how much I did, because I actually went back and did all the footers too later in this episode as well, as you'll see. But the idea of this video is just to get some more Planet Coaster content out. I know you guys, or most of you guys, are probably subscribed to me because of my Planet Coaster content, even though I wish you guys would definitely go check out some of my other stuff, but that's not Planet Coaster as well, because I've been trying to expand the channel a little bit, playing some other fun games. You know, we've been playing Luigi's Mansion. I do plan on playing all the way through Luigi's Mansion 3. We're currently on Luigi's Mansion 2, Dark Moon. and playing through that right now, which has been a lot of fun. I'm thinking about playing some other Switch games as well, because I do love a lot of the Switch games as well. We're going to be playing Spider-Man 2 when that comes out, and then of course I think we're going to go check out City Skylines 2 when that comes out later this month as well. Man, there's a lot of games coming out this month. This is going to be a big month for gaming, so but of course Planet Coaster is always going to be the main part of my channel no matter what, but I just encourage you guys to go check out some of my other content if you're interested. If you don't want to, that's totally fine as well. And if you're just here for Planet Coaster, I welcome you with open arms, and of course, you're welcome here. Everyone's welcome here. So, anyways, but I'm still impressed that I did all these supports in one sitting, and trust me, you're gonna hear me over and over of how proud I am of myself that I actually got through all of this with at once. You know, that's, to me, it is very, very impressive. And the fact that I had to put this time lapse on 1,000 times speed basically is just insane, because it's at 1,000%, which is 10 times faster than normal speed, which is crazy, because that is a lot of time. And you know, I figured you guys wouldn't want to sit through all of that in real time, because trust me, it got very, very tedious with these custom supports. And I have to say, custom supporting is a very, very tedious process, but it's so worth it in the end, because your creations look so impressive, so good when it is all said and done. Just seeing your coaster rise up with these custom supports, because it just looks better than what Planet Coaster puts out there, which helps out tremendously overall, because Planet Coaster supports, even though they're better than older games in the theme park genre, they're still really, really bad. Especially like B&M Hyper and Giga, the Hyper Giga model Rage is really bad when it comes to supports, because the supports are so thin and so small, and once you get to those heights, it just looks ridiculous and does not look right. So you have to end up doing your own if you want it to look realistic and look actually somewhat decent. And I do love doing B&M supports, because they're actually pretty simple. Once you get a few basic supports in, you can really copy and paste a lot of them for the rest of the layout. Very, very rarely do you have to continue to build from scratch. You mainly just kind of have to move them around, change your heights, and then maybe adjust your connector a little bit, and that's about it. I find myself cheating in a few spots sometimes where I'm like, I probably should have used this other connector, but I kind of just, you know, maybe rotated it a little bit instead of getting a whole new connector. You know, I've cheated a few times just to kind of save a little bit of time, but as you can see, we're starting to get into a little bit of the detailing process. I wanted to get some grass and bushes and some trees in there, but of course we also have to have a spiral staircase for a mid-course brake run as well, and actually have some evacuation routes, because we want to make sure that this looks like it could be functional if they had to do an evacuation from somewhere. So that's something that we had to kind of put together here, and I wanted to make sure that there was like a road that actually comes around and leads you back into the station, or back to the ride platform and station and everything. So that all connects together, and it all kind of makes sense, for instance. So anyways, going into that, it appears we are getting into our transfer track, where our ride vehicles can be transferred on and off. So if they want to drop trains or work on the trains in there, you can use that. So there's a nice little some B&M track pieces in the Theme Maker's Toolkit. I think they're B&M invert tracks, but all you gotta really do is flip them around. I've been using those for transfer tracks as well, so I don't actually have to make another piece and everything. I wanted to do a little bit of an extra catwalk here. I fiddled around with some of it, because there's some inverted, really nice B&M invert pieces, but they don't work just perfectly. So I just settled for a small piece at the top there. But we also went ahead and did a quick transfer track for our trains here, which I just used my same method that I usually do, and that is just use these metal beams and put the railroad track on the top of them and give them some footers, and bada bing, bada boom, you got a transfer track. So it works pretty well. And then we finally start getting into the station. So stations are always something that I always like. They're not that bad to actually build, but like for some reason I always hold it off, and just like, I don't know why, like for some reason I think it's tedious, but it's not really that tedious. But I try to, a good thing to do in your stations for sure is just try and cover everything up and make it look more like it's not from playing a coaster. That's always the goal when you want to build something more realistic or make something look really good, is try to make it look like it's not from playing a coaster. So use new textures that you wouldn't usually use, or recolor your textures. Make sure you're recoloring stuff, because like if you do use like your grid pieces, you know, I know some builders out there don't even like to use the grid pieces at all, because they want makes sense, because they want to make sure that their textures don't look like it's from playing a coaster. But if you do, just make sure you recolor it, you know, or use some different coloring, because that can actually make a huge difference as well. Because there's so many builders out there that, you know, that don't worry about much of realism or anything, that just plop everything down, don't even bother changing colors and everything like that. So I make sure I try to change my colors a little bit. I know I'm not the most craziest detailed builder out there. I try my best to try and get some really fine details in there, just for something. I try to make each station I make a little bit unique. You know, that's some criticism I had, is all my stations look the same, but like, I mean, how else are you supposed to build stations? I mean, I kind of get it, but like, you can get real creative with stations. I don't know if I'm supposed to make stations look crazy unique to get people to stop saying that, but I mean, it's a fair criticism, but I try my best to make each station have some sort of character to it a little bit, you know, like for instance, on this station over here, I literally added some depth on some of the walls or something with those cast stone pieces, and it actually worked really well. And that's kind of like my character for this station a little bit. You know, I think my roofing is a little bit basic, that I've used a lot of for a lot of my stations, but that's all right. And then of course you have your transfer track. Just making sure that I have my pieces in place, and then I also put in a floor as well. That way, if you can see through the gaps of the inside there, that it, you know, it doesn't look like it's just grass in there as well. And then I always try to make sure my exit has ramps or some sort of flexibility for, say, if you had like wheelchairs or something like that getting up there for the ADA entrance. I want to make sure they have access, easy access for entry there. So anyways, this station actually turned out really nice. I'm actually pretty proud of it. And I actually do a custom roof on this. I always just use a placeholder roof to kind of give me my shaping, just for shaping. And then we actually put in the custom roof. So, but yeah, and we just create a nice little skeleton, and it did kind of seep through the roof anyways. So I'm like, well, that's perfect, because I was gonna do a custom roof anyways, which this isn't a fully custom roof. It's more of a, let's use some Theme Maker's Toolkit roof and put it up there, basically. But it works well, and I just needed some sort of roof. I don't know if it matched the rest of the station very well, but it's alright. It worked out. I was kind of thinking about doing a flat roof for this station at some point, but I ended up just settling on this regular pitched roof for now. But then we gotta get into a little bit of some terraforming, And this is about where I just kind of do my thing for a little bit, for the most part, and just do a lot of scenery and theming. Mostly just like trees and stuff. But before I got into that, I did go in and do all the footers real quick, which didn't take as long as, of course, as the support columns themselves, but I just went in there and plopped them all in there. They're not all perfect, but that's okay. That's fine because they're just footers, and you're not really going to be looking at them too much in detail while you're on the ride. You just, as long as you see there's a plot of concrete and where those are, you know, you should be fine. But they should be pretty good, and I think they turned out pretty fine. Again, I think all the custom supports turned out really good, and everything looked really, really nice in this video. So anyways, I actually did end up almost losing this little bit of footage because my hard drive that I was saving the recording on actually ran out of space, but it ran out of space right towards the end of the video, so it ended up being okay because I didn't actually lose much of any footage. The good thing is I had some backup footage that if it stops abruptly, it doesn't corrupt the file, so I did have to convert that for a minute, but that's all right. It ended up being fine, and everything was okay. You know, everything's fine, okay? But everything ended up being all right with the recording as well. So, but yeah, I do plan on maybe coming back to this project one more time, pretty quickly, actually, probably. And we'll go in and finish everything up and just do some, like, finishing details, just to kind of, you know, because I'm sure there's a few things I could do. Like, I did not do much of any queue line or anything like that. I'm not sure if I'm going to do much of a queue line. Probably a little less than what I usually do, maybe. But we'll kind of see. I'll probably end up putting in a full queue line. Then we'll get some guests in there and make it really, really nice. Maybe just a random path just kind of leading up to the ride, and just to put something in there, just to make something you know, click a little bit. But of course, it's not a video, a Planet Coaster video without some trees for me. So I like to put all my trees in individually. It just feels better when I do that for some reason. But yeah, I always like to individually place each tree. I know some people like to place them in like kind of clusters, but I like to just do mine one at a time and just like perfectly craft it. If that makes any sort of sense whatsoever. But I decided to start doing a little bit of a perimeter fence just around this turn here, just to kind of to finish it off here for now. And yeah, so look for episode 2 coming very, very soon, and then shortly after we'll also do a cinematic or POV video as well. I know a lot of people want me to throw POVs in at the end of these episodes, but I don't like doing that. I actually like to keep it as a surprise. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe for more amazing content like this. I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks, and goodbye.